The eye is never satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. This is the verse of scripture that comes to my mind when I hear about Protestants flocking to Eastern Orthodoxy or Catholicism. Most of the time when you ask a former Protestant why he ended up going in that direction, what you'll end up hearing is, things such as, I was presented this argument that I just never heard before. And, the real danger with situations such as this is that they're getting their convictions based off of the sound of persuasive arguments. You'll hear things like, well, the scripture is just not very plain and clear on this. When in all reality, the scriptures, for the most part, are pretty black and white. The issue is not that, the scriptures are clear or unclear or anything like that, but rather the real issue is that fine-crafted arguments, when they're read into the scriptures, end up making the scriptures seem very vague and unclear. It's not really that Rome or Eastern Orthodoxy have good arguments necessarily, but I think rather the issue is that Christians get used to hearing certain scriptures for so long that over time, they end up losing their force. It's kind of like when your kids, they do bad things and you tell them, if you keep doing that, I'm going to have to correct you for that. I'm going to have to discipline you. And the more and more that you give your warnings, the less force your warnings end up having toward them. They end up not holding the weight that they should, right? So the issue is not that, your words just need more force behind them. But in all reality, the real issue is their heart. The real issue is their heart. So that's what I see when I think about all of these issues that are going on with people leaving for Catholicism and for Eastern Orthodoxy. It's not that the scriptures are the problem. It's not that God should have been more clear, but rather it's that the eye is never satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. And if you just want to test this fact, take them to Matthew chapter 4, when Jesus is led up into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. What ends up happening? How does Jesus make war against Satan? He makes war with the scriptures. He doesn't make war with tradition or anything like that. He makes war with the scriptures. Or take them to Mark chapter 7, when, he berated the Pharisees for putting their tradition above scripture. Or, you can take them to Matthew chapter 22, when Jesus tells the Sadducees, who didn't believe in the resurrection, that they were in error because they didn't know the scriptures. Or you can just take them to 2 Timothy, when Paul is warning Timothy that there would be false teachers that come in and that, they would lead people astray. And Paul's trying to tell Timothy that the best way that he can prepare himself and other people is to stick to the scriptures. That's why in 2 Timothy, Paul tells him in 2 Timothy chapter 3 that all scripture is given by inspiration of God. It's inspired by God. That literally means that it's God-breathed, right? So if there's anything out there that Christians can look to as their guide, one that's reliable, one that is trustworthy, they can look to the scriptures. That's what's going to keep them from error. Why? Because the scriptures find their very origin in God himself.